welcome back to the program. It's still Abia Voice here on Flow 94.9 FM. I told you that my guest is already in the studio. He has actually greeted you, Chief John Oki Carlo, Director of Strategic Engagement of the PDP Campaign Council in Abia State. Now, welcome back to the program, Chief. Now, let's start. 25th February 2023 just came. As expected, everybody all over the country, Nigerians, trooped out to cast their ballots. In Abia State here, it didn't look so good for the People's Democratic Party in Abia State. You lost about 6 House of Reps seats to other opposition political party. How does it make you feel?
Well, we can't be happy about losing because we didn't set out to lose. What we set out to do was first and foremost to, as much as possible, support our brother P2B because he was the Igbo project. And I'm glad in the midst of all this that those of us from the Southeast decisively made that statement we wanted to make concerning the mistreatment of Ndigbo in Nigeria, the marginalization of Ndigbo, the refusal to accept that by this time the presidency should move to the Southeast. So I have no regret with regards to the support of our people for Mazi P2B. I can tell you for free that one principal reason Governor Ikpeazu remained with the G5 was because he wanted to be able to support his brother P2B. And to that extent, we are happy with the outcome in Abia State and with the outcome in the Southeast. And you can see that overwhelmingly our people came out to vote for him. Regarding other positions, there were many things that happened on that day. First, we had believed that given that we have a literate population in Abia State, they should be able to make the distinction between the presidential ballot and the rest. But that didn't quite happen, and INEC did not also help issues. It was a total mess from INEC, particularly INEC Abia State. There were clear evidence of result writing in Okwa, in one particular polling area, in one particular ward around Owaza. There were about 4 or 5 polling units, the IPU polling units, 2 of them and the others, where, you have somebody writing results and you will see that the other party will score 200, PDP will score 0, which is unthinkable in a free and fair election environment. And indeed, Beavers turned out to be a huge fraud committed against the people of Nigeria by INEC. And of course, you saw the charade in Abia North and also in Abia South, where an election was declared inconclusive by INEC. The same INEC returned back the following, the same day in the case of Abia South. In the morning, they declared it inconclusive. In the afternoon, they concluded without the election they planned to hold. It's a shame, a crying shame for those of them in INEC in Abia State that they performed even below the national average. It was a disaster nationally, because the people of Nigeria were made to believe that from the polling unit, and we verily believe that in PDP. Indeed, we sent out our people in PDP saying, make sure that you are properly accredited before you vote. Look out for the good mark, the green good mark. Make sure that your vote really counts. And while we were producing 28,000 valid votes in Abia South, our opponents were inventing votes from polling units to polling units. Let me say this, because I worked in Abia South during that election.
Okay.
As at yesterday, they were still trying to post results. What I mean, upload results to whatever they call it as server. Why will you be uploading results 4 or 5 days after election? I mean, for Christ's sake, you did manual collation. You have done your manual collation. Let everything remain at the manual level, because you are now working from answer to question. It's a crying shame. But in all this, we also believe as a party that we can take away one positive, which is that our people were able to cast the proper valid vote as expected. If you look at Umuahia, whether it is Ikwa or Umuahia, you look at the numbers going to the PDP, you will see that all of them, all that number, came through the proper process of accreditation, and then in some instances we were not aware that INEC Abia had compromised its position as an electoral body. For instance, look at Ohafia, look at my unit in Abreba, Abia North. We were told there were no elections in Aboji Abreba, and my own exact word in Umueso Abreba. In my own word, that's why I laugh when people say, "Oh, John Oki Kalu failed in his unit." There was no election. How could he have failed in a situation where there was no election in my place? And they told us that the election was going to be conducted the next day, and we were ready. In fact, when I heard it was going to be conducted the next day, I left Aba. I started moving towards Abriba so that I can vote for my candidate.
Was there any result from that area?
No result. No result. Over 40,000 votes at stake, lost. 40,000 votes. And they told us that they were going to now do it on Monday. I said, okay, let's wait till Monday. And by Monday, some politician stormed the collation center with soldiers, chased away everybody, and results were declared. The election won with 3,000 votes, whereas there are over 40,000 votes at stake. In the case of Aba South, election won, but there were over 60,000 votes at stake. So it's a charade. I think Abia should hide themselves, their head in shame. And I think that whoever is querying them, wherever they are being queried by law enforcement, they should do a proper query, a proper tracking of finances, accounts, to know who orchestrated these malfeasance against the people of Abia State and Nigeria. Of course, it is also a national problem. Because clearly, if you look at that election, if that election was properly conducted with beavers, I think we all know who won that election. We all know who won that election. But it is what it is in this country. And rather than mourning what has happened, we want to move forward, get to the next election in the hope that the proper thing will be done this time around.
Well, some people believe that actually your party, the People's Democratic Party, did not actually do your homework very well. Probably that you did not field your first 11. Maybe that's why you got that kind of result.
Let me ask you a question. Do you consider Governor Ikpeazu a first 11 in Abia South? You don't. He's not a first 11 to go for Senate. You know why I'm asking you that question? They don't come better and bigger, whether in terms of education, qualification, experience, anything. So is it not a first 11 in I no more here federal constituency? I mean, sorry, in Abia Central, it would be laughable for anybody not to consider Colonel Akobundu a first 11. A former minister, a former national organizing secretary of the PDP, a man that is respectable across the globe, the kind of person that will be able to stand up at the National Assembly to speak to Igbo issues, and everyone will listen. If you say such a man is not a first 11, I wonder who is a first 11. Do you not consider the Speaker of Abia State House of Assembly a first 11? If you are a Speaker, it is the height of legislative experience. Do you understand? At the State House of Assembly level. So you see, 4 things happened on Saturday. One was the Obi wave, which we accepted because we are part of those who orchestrated the Obi wave. I'm sure you must have noted that none of us campaigned against P2B. None of us in PDP campaigned against P2B. So we are part of those who orchestrated the Obi wave because of the greater interest of Ndigbo. That's number one. Number two, you also need to know that there were thorough instances of manipulation of the election by INEC staff in connivance with certain security agents. We have documented evidence on manipulation of the result, outright writing of result in Aba South, outright writing of result in Okwa West, outright writing of result in Aba North, and even some parts of Obingwa. We have this clear evidence. See, if you want to study election figures, study the Beavers number, match it, assuming Beavers was used in your own unit, match it against the non-Beavers numbers. You will see the difference. It will just shine through. You will see it. And when someone throws in 1,000 votes from one particular unit, my brother, something is wrong. When someone throws in 800 votes from one particular unit, and then the other party scores 0 from that same unit, I'm sure you know something is wrong. So we know that in many locations, the result sheet did not even come to the polling unit. Yet the same result sheet showed up at collation point with results. I can speak to area. In Ward 9, the polling unit in area. There was no result sheet. And we told our people, don't go ahead with a process that does not have result sheet. And at the end of the day, there was a result announced for area. So we had the problem. The first problem we had, okay, give it to the B wave, which is not so much of a problem for us. And then secondly, you now have clear electoral malfeasance orchestrated by Abia INEC in connivance with Abia National. Because it was the National that asked the returning officer for Abia South to return back and announce an inconclusive result. How can you announce that the result is inconclusive on record, and the same you, without concluding, now say it is no longer inconclusive, somebody has won? The same thing happened in Abia North, where a result was announced inconclusive by the returning officer, and the same returning officer was dragged back to the place and asked to announce somebody as the winner. So clearly there was malfeasance by INEC in connivance with INEC Abuja. They did what they did. And then there was also the issue of internal confusion. Internal confusion in the sense that some of our stakeholders did not exactly focus the way they should have. They thought that this was going to be a BVAS election.
Was it a kind of sabotage or something?
I don't like to attribute criminality to certain human behaviors unless proven in a law court. It could be that it was sabotage, but I don't like to attribute such strong words to certain. Sometimes I feel that they were as confused as every other person. Why? Because here you are a stakeholder of PDP, and somebody or a group of persons locked in the Ractex in Okwa West, what do you call it, Owasa, beat them up, locked them in, and was writing result. As a stakeholder of PDP, what were you supposed to do? Scatter everywhere. That's why you're a stakeholder. Make sure that they don't kill that Ractec. Make sure you protect that Ractec and the other INEC ad hoc staff, and make sure that no result comes out of there. That didn't happen.
Won't that engineer violence?
See, at the end of the day, there was violence there. It took the army to extract those INEC officials from Owasa. It took the army to extract them. Yet the result they counted. And the people made a report to the office here, and the INEC refused to cancel it. That's why I said INEC did not cover themselves in glory, particularly INEC Abia. It is a crying shame, and I wonder if they will be able to conduct a free and fair election on March 11. But we will go out and try again and see where it leads.
Okay, so as it stands now, are you contemplating going to the court, to challenge the outcome of this injustice, like you rightly pointed out here?
Let me. We don't. You see, naturally, Opotoyom, who happens to be my childhood friend, is the Labour Party candidate in Abia South. Naturally, he will go to court. Correct? Is it not so?
Well,
I can imagine that he will go to court. The reason being that it was clear and obvious that there were units, particularly his own strongholds. He's from Abreba. Okay. But he didn't come in. Umweso, he is also from the same Amweke with me. Our own area did not even vote. Do you understand? And of course, the Ohafia, more than 42 units in Ohafia South did not vote. They probably could have voted for him. You can imagine that you declare the Federal House candidate of Labour Party victorious without also concluding Ohafia. So he can decide, he is likely to decide to go to court. In the case of the governor, we are studying available data. The governor is not a desperate man. We are studying the data with a view to deciding on what next to do. But I'm also certain that the Labour Party candidate there will go to court. So even if we don't want to go to court, there will be litigations. Whenever you have the kind of rubbish that came out of INEC's stomach, you will have litigation. Of course, P2B will go to court. because we cannot see that he was clearly robbed in broad daylight. I'm sure Alhaji Atiku Abubakar will also go to court because there were clear instances of robbery against him. I cannot speak to the decision of the individual candidate, but as a party, we are sufficiently angry with what happened to say to our members, if you are ready to go to court, we will fully back you up. But for now, the focus is on making sure that we deliver March 11 to first Sir Okahiwe and all our House of Assembly candidates across board.
Okay, so let us now talk about March 11 governorship election. With all these allegations against, not only from you alone, but some other Nigerians, they've always alleged or said that INEC did not actually deliver on the mandate to make sure that there was free and fair election. Now, do you still have confidence? I mean, PDP in Abia State going into March 11 governorship election, do you still have confidence in the ability and capacity of INEC to deliver credible election?
You see, you have to participate in a process, whether flawed or not, for you to be able to stand a chance of reviewing that process. Whether we have confidence in INEC or not is of no moment, because if we boycott the election, we have nothing justiciable to rely on. So clearly we are going to be part of March 11 election. We are going to throw in everything we have as a party. You will now see the strength of PDP in Abia State on March 11, and we will now wait for INEC to come and do what they did with the National Assembly election. We will be waiting for them at the polling units. They should come.
When you sound like this, I just hope that you're preparing for
no,
war.
No,
we want peace in Abia State.
No. PDP is not a party known for violence, but we will wait. And when I say we will wait, we know that we have seen what happened, and we will prevent that from happening this time around. We will make sure that as much as possible, the INEC self-defined processes are followed. You define a process by yourself. We are entering into a football match. You say if somebody handles the ball inside the penalty box, that it is penalty. If somebody brings another person down, that is foul. If the ball enters the net, that is a goal. And we go to the match, and the ball entered the net, you said it's not a goal. And somebody handled the ball inside it, you said it is the hand of God. And somebody was brought down, you said it is a physical game. And we have seen all that. So we are ready for hand of God. We are ready for a physical game. And we are also ready for you to manage the process the proper way it should be managed.
Now, on the case of Governor Kezi Ikpeazu and his election, do you actually think that the issue of the politics in G5 actually affected his ambition?
Not at all. See, that's why I am a little bit sarcastic about the Abia South result. I was in Abia South that day. There was Obi wave, genuine one. What happened was our people were voting Labour parallel. You see, when they go to the polling unit, rather than waste time to ask which one is P2B, which one is Okezi Ikpeazu, and which one is ABCK, they thought that if you vote 1, 2, 3, the 3 votes will go to P2B. So they voted Labour parallel at many locations where I observed the election. Do you understand me? And that is why I find it a little bit, I find the result coming from there laughable. I don't want to litigate it, but it's laughable. And I'm sure INEC officials know that what happened there is laughable. What happened in Abia South. The genuine numbers you will see from there will be the number attributed to Okezi Ikpeazu, about 28,000. And possibly the other number attributed to the Labour Party candidate. So if you had concluded the election, it would have ordinarily been a contest between Okezi Ikpeazu and the Labour Party candidate.
And
ordinarily.
We didn't see the vote from Obingwa. You know, about 182,000 votes from Obingwa. He didn't play all this time around.
I don't know the final tally from Obingwa, but I also know that we still had polling units that didn't vote, polling centers that didn't vote in Obingwa. More than 30 something polling units in Obingwa did not come in. Do you understand? And there were places where results were cancelled ostensibly for overvoting because the accreditation in the Beavers did not match the numbers. The same results were later adopted by INEC and formed part of the declaration. I said, I don't know. I don't want to be too harsh on these guys in INEC, Abia State, because I'm not one person that likes complaining. I like to look forward. If you do something to me, I'll study what you have done to me and use that your own poison and hand it back to you next time. So to me, it's behind me. What is in front of me is landslide victory for Oke-Ahiwe. And I'm sure that every member of PDP in Abia State, we are sufficiently angry to be able to come out and police our polling units, police our result, police the process, ensure that INEC follows its own guideline. INEC follows the electoral law. The INEC chairman trumpeted several times that from every polling unit, there will be transmission, electronic transmission of result, and that any result that is above what is transmitted from the polling unit will be overvoting. Yet the same INEC chairman was gallivanting, speaking from his two mouths, and there was no uploading up to 4 days after the election. So he's now working from answer to question. The results that have been manipulated, they are the ones he's now uploading. That's how Peter be lost. If they had done the right thing at the polling unit, Peter would have won. It happened also in Abia State. But like I said before, we want to move forward. Wait for us next week Saturday and see the power of PDP in Abia State.
Okay, I really want us to do a review of what happened so that it will give us a better, view of what is to come, in the nearest future. Because when you look at all this, some places where you have ordinarily much, voters registered actually, you see that even the PVCs collected. Take for instance in Kano, in Lagos, even in Rivers State, we know that these places they have much voters. But during that election, like in Lagos, all the vote cast during that time, I don't think it was up to 2 million. If you go to Kano, it was also the same thing. If you go to Rivers, almost the same thing. Do you think that Beavers probably did a good job by making sure that actual voters come to cast their ballot?
There is a difference between Beavers application and Beavers propaganda. Maybe you are speaking to whether Beavers propaganda did a good job or not. Because like I said, some political parties sent out their members and insisted that even if there is opportunity to add one illegal vote, don't do it. Because if you do it, Beavers will discount that vote. So maybe Beavers propaganda did some work some places. But if you still watch those numbers we are talking about, Kano still produced more than 1.5 million votes.
As against like 5 million.
No, Kano has never produced 5 million votes. The highest Kano has done is 2 million. Kano has never. If you add up even what Atiku, Kwakwanso,
why I said that,
it was close to 2 billion.
When you check the number of registered voters, even the collected PVCs, it's about 6 million.
Yeah, but Kano has always averaged around that 2 billion, which sincerely I don't believe is real. I don't see that population coming out in Kano to vote within the time frame of the election. So even you that is celebrating the numbers, I'm not celebrating that number. If you go to Lagos, if you look at the numbers, it's still above 1 million. Lagos has never crossed the 2 million mark. The numbers from Rivers State mirrors the numbers in 2019 in Rivers State. Go and check. Rivers State didn't do more than 500,000. The numbers from Abia State, P2B had about 300 and something thousand. It mirrors the number that Atiku and Obi had in Abia in 2019. So I have not seen anything extraordinary in the terms of the number. What has happened is that the votes have spread to 4 different political figures. There is now an insurgent called P2B. Did you notice that if you add the vote of P2B and the vote of Atiku, it's about 13 million plus. That means if they had worked together, they would have won the election because the APC candidate was at 8 million, correct?
Yes.
Now, if you add the vote of Obi and the vote of Kwankwaso, that means if they had combined together, it would still not have won the election.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So if you look at the numbers, you will see that when you add up all those things, it will still come close to what we had in the last election.
Everything.
Yeah, if you add up the totals, it's still close to what we had in the last election. See, yes, there were new PVs and all that. But what happened is that the election was mostly done by the new voters. The presidential election was mostly done by the new voters. Many of the new voters may not even have their PVCs, but those who enthusiastically came to the polling unit and waited. Remember that in Abia, for some inexplicable reason, elections started late in Abia, and those are questions that the INEC chairman will have to answer. Elections started late, and I'm asking questions in my constituency. We waited in Ohafia for electoral materials to come, and when the materials finally came around 11, the INEC officials in Ohafia started distributing in Ohafia, whereas the proper practice is to send material to remote locations like Abreba and Kporo first before you dispatch to Ohafia town, because you are in Ohafia town. They didn't do that, which means there was a deliberate ploy to disenfranchise the good people of Abreba for whatever is what. There was a plot against the people of Abreba. The same thing happened across board. In Aba, the same thing. In some locations where you would have expected that elections will start by 8 a.m. because materials were there the day before.
I remember that on Saturday, the deputy governor called into this program and complained the same thing you're saying now, that they didn't see INEC people at all. I don't know if he actually voted.
Finally, INEC came to his location, part of his location, around 2-3. You can imagine. Meanwhile, statutorily, by law, that's what people didn't notice. By law, elections were meant to stop by 2:30. Every vote cast after 2:30 should have been nullified.
But there's also a caveat there. INEC said if you are on the queue before 2:30, you can still vote.
If you are on the queue. Meanwhile, you have situations where elections are starting ab initio by 2:30. In some locations like Ajawo State in Lagos, they voted with torchlight. And after spending over 300 billion, that's the best we can get from INEC in this country. After sharing our money, they went to Central Bank to collect money for elections in Abia State. Yet in the morning of the election, they could not pay buses. They didn't pay bus drivers, and the bus drivers remained here till 11 o'clock. Election material didn't come. After collecting mint naira from CBN, after 300 billion of taxpayers' money, you still could not move election materials by 7:30, 8 a.m. I mean, Chineke Paranda Tule.
Okay, if you're just joining us, this is Avia Voice here on Flow 94.9 FM, and my guest is the Director of Strategic Engagement of the People's Democratic Party Campaign Council in Abia State, Chief John Oki-Kalu. We'll take a breather now. When we come back, the show continues. Stay with us. All right, welcome back to the program. It's still Abia Voice here on Flow 94.9 FM. Like I told you, my guest is Chief John Oki-Kalu, Director of Strategic Engagement of the PDP Campaign Council in Abia State. Welcome back to the program, Chief.
Thank you.
Let us now move forward. On March 11, you will also be going in for the governorship and state assembly election. Tell us, how are you preparing for this? I know, yes, some of your party members may be downcast by now owing to the outcome of the presidential election, where actually your party lost seriously. But going forward, let us,
the emphasis on seriously is funny.
Yeah, I mean, for the state, I mean, when you look at it, the House of Reps that used to control the seats, you used to control there, you lost, and even the Senate, you used to control 3 senatorial seats in Abia State. Now you don't have any.
We never controlled 3 senatorial seats in Abia State.
In 2015, you did.
See, Oji was in Abia North. We had Ochendo here.
That was in 2019 from
Okay, in 2019.
I was talking about from 2015.
Okay.
You've always controlled the 3 senatorial seats. But as it stands now, so how are you preparing moving forward? Because this is a contest and you vow that your party must take part in it. And you're hoping to come out top. So how are you getting set for this?
Let me re-emphasize this. If PDP members mobilize to the polling units next week Saturday and vote for PDP, the election is over, because we are the largest party in Abia State by kilometers. So the first preparation we are making is to encourage our members not to be downcast by what happened, what played out. They should see it as a sacrifice we've made for our brother P2B. Posterity will be kind to the good people of Abia State, that when it was time for us to stand up for Ndibo, that we made sacrifices for our people. We made sacrifices in Enugu with Ugwanye. We made sacrifices with Okeze and others. Because as far as we are concerned, the need to reposition the Igbo man within the national political framework is more important than whatever will happen locally. So we made sure that we supported our brother P2B, who by kilometers was the best candidate in that race, as affirmed by everybody in Nigeria, and we fought the good fight. Now, after fighting the good fight, because everyone must also realize that the numbers for P2B in Abia State came about because overwhelmingly the good people and members of the People's Democratic Party backed his aspiration from top to bottom. From top to bottom. So our people should now come together. We've made the sacrifice necessary. Some of those seats will be recovered through the courts. I'm very sure of that. Some of those seats will be recovered. We will still have fresh elections in some of those seats, National Assembly seats later on. Our people must know that. But what is important right now is for every PDP member to put his hand on his chest and say, I am coming out to vote for my party next week Saturday. If every one of us put our hands on our chest to say, I'm coming out to vote for my PDP next week Saturday, the election is done and dusted. Quite frankly, we have a wonderful candidate. We have House of Assembly candidates that are great. In my constituency, I've asked that question several times. Why will anybody not vote for Mandela Obasi, for instance? Why will anybody not vote for Kahiwe? So, the first preparation we are making now is to mobilize our members to say, forget the old things, look forward to the new thing, which is the coming of Okahiwe. And I want to use this medium to appeal to all PDP members, stakeholders, supporters, party leaders. Please forget last week Saturday. Move forward to next week Saturday. Beat your hands on your chest and remind yourself that you are PDP in Abia State, and that you have the highest number of supporters, and that if you get to that polling unit and vote PDP, that no other party can defeat you. And that is what I want all of them to have in mind. Don't worry about the noise around you. Come out next week Saturday, vote PDP for governorship and for State House of Assembly. You have done your job as long as you police that result to the polling unit. The party has learned from what happened last week. We have taken measures to make sure that nobody will write result on our head again. Nobody will connive with INEC in Abia and nationally to truncate the will of the people of Abia State. We have taken measures to ensure that we will make sure that everyone's vote counts and is counted. And we are calling on members of PDP, wherever they are, please wake up. Stop mourning. Stop worrying about last Saturday. Beat your chest and say to yourself, I am going to the polling unit next week Saturday to vote for PDP. Take your family members, go to the polling unit, vote for PDP, leave us with victory. That's all.
Okay, now you've actually made that appeal to your members, but how are you ensuring that, because I know that there are some aggrieved PDP members even right now, who may want to work against the party. How are you going to ensure that this influence this set of people have will not affect the fortunes of your party on March 11?
let me say this. If you are an aggrieved PDP member, what can you do on next week Saturday? Really, when you have other PDP members at the polling unit and all of them are watching what is happening, what can you really do? You can only vote against the party, and that's one vote. Is it not so? You cannot do beyond that. Because if others refuse to, if we have in every polling unit a minimum of 10 PDP members, what can you do? And quite frankly, the era of aggrieved PDP members is over. We have come together as a party. We have long come together. With the emergence of Okeahiwe, all the differences settled. Issues agitating members solved. I don't know if people realize that the new PDP that is emerging around Okeahiwe is a unified force from Mkporo through Abreba to Ohafia all the way to Ishialango, Sisioma and Okwa East and West. We are a unified force now. Even Umuahia, we are completely unified in Umuahia. You will see all our leaders turn out on election day to vote PDP. So if you have pockets of individuals or pockets of the dissent, the most that person can do, given the electoral structure we are bringing to play next week Saturday, the most you can do is to come in and vote against us and go home. And it will still not be enough because this is a PDP state. And we know the total number of people who are PDP members. In our register, we have over 500,000 members, and the last election was settled with 300-something thousand votes. Are you telling me that if our over 500,000 members turn out on that day to vote for PDP, that anybody can beat us? Genika, is it possible? And that's why we are clamoring for free and fair election. We are the party asking INEC to do what they said they would do. We, PDP, because we knew that if INEC had done what they said they would do, there was no way we could have lost the way, the results ended in some of these constituencies. No, they didn't do what they said they would do. And what they said was one man, one vote. And that vote will count at the polling unit and be transmitted from the polling unit to the server. They didn't do that. INEC capitulated. For whatever reason, I'm sure that those investigating what happened in Abia will ultimately tell us whether money was involved or not. INEC didn't do what they promised to do when they refused to move materials up to 11 a.m., 12 p.m. Materials didn't get to polling units. Meanwhile, they told us that 2 days before that materials have gone to the local government headquarters. If they have gone to Ohafia local government headquarters, for instance, why didn't they just bring it out and distribute in the morning? And we found out that the material that was supposed to be in our local government was still in Umuahia by 11 o'clock. Whereas INEC took money, cash from Central Bank. INEC chairman went to meet the CBN governor and they gave them cash. What happened to the money?
Sorry. Okay, still the Abia Voice here of Flow 94.9 FM. Let's take a breather now. When we come back, the show continues. Stay with us. All right, now welcome back to the program. It's still Abia Voice here on Flow 94.9 FM. I still have here with me Chief John Oki Carlo, Director of Strategic Engagement of the PDP Campaign Council. Welcome back to the program, Chief. Now let's look at why Abian should vote your candidate, Chief Okeahiwe, on March 11. Why?
Very simple. Abians cannot afford to gamble. Gambling in the sense that this country, as we can all see, has entered a critical stage. In this critical stage, a lot of things will likely possibly happen that will impact our people. Governor Ikpeazu was able to fight off the herdsmen challenge, fight off all kinds of plots, the Ruga challenge, and all kinds of plots against our people because of his personal character. I always say to our people, beyond what politicians say, can you look at their personal character? Okay is humble. Okay is someone who understands that leadership is about people and that you must put people front and center. Okay is adequately experienced to run a government because one, he has more than enough experience from the private sector, and of course he has operated the public sector as chief of staff. Okeahiwe has always had a plan. before he emerged as our governor, remember he had attempted to run under PDP. By that time, that was when he developed his right manifesto, the manifesto that he's running now. The right manifesto that has to do with rural development, infrastructure, good governance, human capital development, and of course, trade. That manifesto captures our area of strength as a people, built on that strength in order for us to have exponential development. That's why Oke-Ahiwe continues to say that he is going to jumpstart exponential development in Abia State. There is nobody that has the goodwill that Oke-Ahiwe has in Abia State. And sometimes when you look at leadership, what you need is correct social mobilization for the people to be behind you in a manner that will enable you implement decisions that will work. Oke-Ahiwe is ready to govern. Oke-Ahiwe is a God-fearing Catholic knight. And this is also an opportunity for members of the Catholic Church. I hope they know that this is the first time that a Catholic is very close to the governorship in this manner in Abia State. Not just any Catholic, but a knight of the Catholic Church, a man who has given a lot of church buildings to the Catholic Church. So I think it is time for members of the Catholic Church to stand up and support one of their own to become governor. I also think that Abia youths have a unique representative in Oke-Ahiwe, because he's one of them, has always been one of them. You would have noticed that since his emergence, you have not seen any young people abuse Oke-Ahiwe. If you check through social media. Why? Because he's one of them, and he marched from among them. If you also look at those of us in the party, since the emergence of Oke-Ahiwe, you have seen a total rallying of party members. My elder and leader, Vlog Ibeku, is spearheading the challenge in favor of Oke-Ahiwe. The speaker is working hard for Oke-Ahiwe. Our father, the grandfather of Abia politics, Senator T.A. Oji, Ochendo Global, is fully behind Oke-Ahiwe. If you come to Abia North, you have the deputy governor who is backing. I was there when the deputy governor raised his hands in Ohafia and did not stop there. The deputy governor has mobilized his own people from Unkporo to Abreba and all the way to Ohafia to support Oke-Ahiwe. Why? Because of the character of the man. You can also see people like the Grand Secretary. We call him the Grand Secretary. Secretary Ngbiche. But all make after coming here. Now you call Sam. Secretary Ngbiche. Namuko Emokoro. He's fully behind Oke-Ahiwe. James Okpara, Cosmos Ndukwe. All our party members have rallied around him because they know, the quality of human being that he is. And we have been able to sort out all the other issues within the party. You are even seeing a lot of opposition leaders pledging support for Oke-Ahiwe, including some governorship candidates, which you will hear about in the coming days. Including some governors, some parties are collapsing for Oke-Ahiwe. Some political parties in Abia State collapsing for Oke-Ahiwe. So it speaks to something. It speaks to acceptability. It speaks to the understanding of the people that this is a good fit for the job to be done. Because Abia needs peace and prosperity. See, if you bring a katakata man who decides to sack all our civil servants, all these people making noise here and there would have lost. Not Ikpeazu, not me.
Okay, Abians will also want to know how accessible and compassionate is your candidate for Oke-Ahiwe, because for you to be a leader, you must show that compassion to the people you are leading. Anything that affects them, you should be able to actually identify with them, always be there for them, and show compassion and love, and probably provide solution to whatever issues they are having.
Indeed, that is his unique selling point: compassion and accessibility. Let me explain this to you. During my chieftaincy coronation event in Abreba 2 years ago, Chief Oke-Ahiwe was in Abreba. He was on his way to my house, and as he was entering there, a woman who is not even from Abreba stopped him that she was ill, she wasn't feeling well, she needed medical attention. Chief Okahiwe drove that woman from my house without entering my house to the hospital in Ebubena hospital, paid for her and paid for all the patients at Ebubena before returning to my house, and he never told me until about a month ago that I found that. What more can you speak to when it concerns compassion? Since Okahiwe became the chief of staff, you won't see any policeman in front of the office of the chief of staff. His doors are perpetually open. Once he's there, the doors are open. He welcomes everybody. Chief Okahiwe is a man of the people. When my first encounter with him was sometime in 2014, 2015, I saw the way he was treating people around him. That was why I liked the personality of the man. See, anybody that is arrogant will not succeed with me. I can say good morning to you, but once I sense arrogance in you, you can't be my friend. Because I believe that arrogant people play God. They don't realize that whatever they are, there is God that made them that thing. And when you don't realize that it is about God, that there is no difference between you and the truck pusher, no difference between you and the vendor, no difference between you and the dishwasher, no difference between you and the person serving you in a hotel. If you don't realize that, it is because you are arrogant and you think that you are a special breed. There is no special breed on earth. It is God that has shown all of us mercy and favor. After all, without God, I am that small boy that was selling chewy stick in Aba and no more here. I am that small boy that was selling Odara. So those who are arrogant must never be allowed to come near power, because on its own, power is arrogant. And when you bring an arrogant man, no matter how well packaged, he will destroy our people. You don't want somebody that will build flyover for you and destroy our people, for Christ's sake. Development is about the people and for the people. Ndabia, do not, no matter the circumstance, allow anybody to sell Nebuchadnezzar to you as David. Okahiwe is the David. You know the Nebuchadnezzar in other politics. I don't need to mention him.
Okay, thank you so much, Chief John Oki-Carlo, the Director of Strategic Engagement of the People's Democratic Party, PDP. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And to all of you who listen, sincere apologies, we may not be able to take your calls, but I can see all of you, even those that drop message, comments on our Facebook page, Justice Equity Azo, Okoronkwo No, Obinna. All of you, thanks to all of you. This show returns on Thursday at 10 a.m. Probably we'll have time to take your calls then. My name is Ginika Olwa. I'll see you again. Good morning.